right, welcome everybody. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. It is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021, and coming to you at about 10:45 a.m. Central Standard Time here from the great state of Texas. And just so you guys know, the plan going forward is to actually do these on twice a week. I want to do them on Tuesdays and on Fridays, so that's going to be my plan going forward. We will continue to watch the prison locations as well as other happenings around the United States. And then, of course, if something wacky happens, I will hop on and do a quick broadcast. So, all right, without further ado, let's get off to the United States. Currently, right now, we do have the 82-8000 747, which is a presidential bird, taken off out of D.C., and it is not showing call sign as Air Force One, but it is showing NA, the same thing that was shown when Trump was on there last. So I don't know if Biden is on that or not. Typically, when the president's on, it's going to say Air Force One unless there is a security threat and they are not trying to broadcast. But then at the same time, they would probably not be showing their aircraft. They would fly incognito. So there's that. And then also I want to point out there is this Terra is a all whitetail 757. That aircraft is actually used for international response teams. So that's kind of a go team. So if there's an incident somewhere around the world, these guys all jump onto this white bird and fly out and go attend to the incident. So, all right. And looks like our 747, there he is. All right, hit persistence, and he's back on the board. So we'll keep an eye on him. I'm curious to see where he's going, and you know, we'll come back to it here in a little bit. So, all right. So that said, if we look at the count of aircraft up right now over the United States at 10:45 in the morning, sitting at about 186, and that is actually a little bit light. Normally it's about 250. Okay. A couple things I do want to look at while we are talking. We've been talking about the TFR for Trump, if it even exists. And I will tell you that I thought we had found one where he might be staying because it was rumored to have him in Tampa at Trump, at his Trump Tower in Tampa. And so during the Super Bowl, there was indeed a red security one over that area. However, after the Super Bowl, everything is lifted. And so there are no TFRs in Florida currently at the moment. So, all right. Without going into this is something that Dutch Sense covers quite a bit, but I just happened to notice on my my radar that the earthquakes seem to be the West Coast from South America up seem to be shaking quite a bit. So I'm sure Dutch has got that well in hand. So if you guys don't know who Dutch Sense is, that guy is like he's the go-to for earthquakes. And so he is definitely out there on YouTube and several other. All right. So last week I mentioned this app, when we were looking at the TFRs. I think I called it Radar 24. That was incorrect. I was getting it confused with Flight Radar 24. So this is actually called My Radar, and it's a fantastic tool. You can add and play with the filters, and like I said, you can show everything from fires across the United States to earthquakes to to TFRs, pilot weather. There's a lot of different things on there. It's a really good tool, and I use it quite a bit. So, all right. That said, so we've got this 747 presidential bird that is up. It looks like it's actually headed out over the water, but we'll watch it and see. I do see some Venus birds, so the Venus 92s, Venus 30. Those are either that is a 757, and the other one's a 737. Those look just like the presidential paint jobs. Those are going to be the blue and whites, and they will contain anybody from, staff to senior staff, executive level folks. Could be Nancy Pelosi on one of those. Although those typically you would think would get a SAM or a SPAR call sign. But anyway, all right, back to this. Let's go over to a quick look at Guantanamo Bay. All right, so let's hop over to Guantanamo Bay, and looks like we've got an aircraft that just departed from there, headed northbound. We'll see that on the board over here. So that is probably that's this one right here. It's headed to Norfolk, Virginia, and departed at 11:22 a.m. Central Standard Time. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that we did have a Learjet just pop in, another medical. Medevac Worldwide Aircraft Services came out of Tampa, Florida, N65 LJ. And it's interesting, that one came out of Tampa, and then it went to Medevac somebody up to Washington, D.C. Late at 10 p.m. last night. So very uncommon to see it go to D.C. I don't know what that was all about, but very uncommon. I typically see that aircraft come in to the spa, and then it'll go to Fort Lauderdale, which is like the closest local hospital. Okay, flying all the way up to DC is a little bit out of the norm. So we will kind of track that aircraft to see where it went from there. So let's pop over. This is that aircraft. So it went from Guantanamo Bay to DC Monday night. So that was last night about 10 p.m. And then it looks like it's going from D.C. back down to Tampa. So it looks like it's housed probably based out of the Tampa Bay International area. So, all right. So off to our 331CK. This is our Kalita Charters bird. This one looks like it is headed to Oscoda, Michigan for maintenance. All right. So, I've been watching this plane fly back and forth to Port-au-Prince and Dominican Republic for a while. It was on a pretty hot circuit every day, back and forth between there. And it looks like it's just hit its maintenance cycle. And so now it is headed back up to Oscoda, Michigan, where I would imagine it's probably going to have a C or a D check maintenance visit. So, which is C is not heavy, but it's a pretty lengthy little visit, right? And then a D check is depending on their maintenance records and their maintenance program. But a D check is a heavy overhaul typically. Okay. All right. So here we go. N312 FU. That is our Maxwell bird, and that one has actually been flying around. Looks like somebody within our government body has acquired the services of this bird. All right. So if we look back here, I think the last one I did was just about the second. And so since the second, that thing has been out to the Virgin Islands. It's been, through Apopka, Fort Lauderdale, which is based out of Fort Lauderdale, went over to Sarasota. And then it went up to Bedford, Massachusetts. It was in Bedford, then it went from Bedford to Farmingdale, New York. Now, that is a pattern we've seen this aircraft go before. So that's probably some contractors or somebody that's living up there in that neck of the woods. And when I say contractors, I mean like the CEOs or executives, okay? VPs, somebody like that, okay? Right? Now, that right there, that Farmingdale is about 18 minutes away from where HRC lives, okay? It's just right down the street. All right, and so then it went back to Lauderdale, back to Boca. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting because it came out of Boca and it went to Denver, Colorado. All right, that was on Saturday. And then from Denver over to Salt Lake, and then Salt Lake over to California to Santa Ana, John Wayne Airport. So somebody's definitely getting some stick time on this bird. And I don't know who's using it, but we will continue to watch it because every once in a while that little dude will pop into the spa. And so good to just have an ID on all the birds that we see flocking around that area. All right. Okay. Off to our Department of No Justice. Okay. This is N721AL. Now that one we showed landing on January 27th in Toronto, Canada. And it has continued to stay up there. So we'll keep an eye on that one. I'm not sure. Is it plausible it's up there doing maintenance in Canada? That is not completely out of the question. I don't see the DOJ camping and leaving an aircraft there on the ground in Toronto for a long period of time. And so it is plausible they're up there at a maintenance hub, and that is having maintenance done. So we'll keep our eye on it and see where it happens, although we have seen other birds that we're watching go into that same area. So we will see. All right. Now this is the Bill Barr, the former Bill Barr aircraft. This is Jenna 622. That's the call sign for that aircraft. And that one is actually just departed DC. And I don't know where it's going. It's unknown at this point, but we're going to continue to watch it. But it rolled out of actually Manassas Regional, Washington, D.C., and I'll tell you where it lands on my next Sitrep. Okay. Over to our Phoenix birds. This one landed in Malta about a week ago, so we have no change. So it's still sitting in Malta. And, it came out of Terceira Island, which is one of our prison locations, went to Malta over to Greece. Sorry, I said it's sitting in Malta. It's sitting in Greece. And so it is still there. Been there about a week. The other birds, 183, 173 PA, are also back at their home bases, and they haven't been flying in a little while. So we'll watch for those things to go again. They may be also under maintenance program right now. So out to Camp Justice. Nothing new reported. The board is cleared out there. So that is... Camp Justice is one of our prison locations out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. That's at Diego Garcia. All right. And so that, folks, is kind of around the horn. Now we'll go back to our main map. We're going to take a look quickly at some of the other aircraft that are up. Wanted to show you the UK, and as well as, Europe is kind of busy right now, which is 7 hours ahead of us. So it's wrapping up in the evening. Okay. We've got a German, let's see, is that an Airbus? All right. So now let's head back out over to our map. This time we're going to take a look at Europe. And we seem to have a lot of UK birds actually heading over to the Middle East. This one's coming out of Cyprus. This is another one that looks to be headed down in that general direction. And then, of course, we have an Air France A400, which is a high wing prop job, also coming out of that general area. So the Brits and the French seem to be taking a keen interest in this general area right now. So we'll continue to watch that and see what happens. All right, and as we take a closer look at the UK, looks like we have just some couple H-47s doing some legwork around the south of England, and then another one up here on ground here in northern England. These are all UK helos. So, and then an A400 looked like he's just shooting some patterns around. So not too much to see. It's pretty busy for this time of day, but for the most part, that is it. As we get back over here for Canada and Alaska, only thing I'm seeing right now is C-130. Looks like just one single C-130. That's a Canadian. Nothing going on over Alaska. But of course, it's still pretty early in the morning over there in Hawaii. And out over Asia, looks like we got some fighters up. And let's see here, another UK bird out here headed into India. So, all right, folks, that's pretty much it. So we're going to keep an eye on the skies. I will pop in on a Sitrep here on Friday and tell you where this 747 presidential bird actually ended up headed. So it doesn't look like, from a Trump perspective, that he is going to get any kind of TFR. So if he's in Florida, then he is not getting any special type of privileges in terms of flight restrictions over his area. So that's really not good. And so, like I said before, Bush has one over Dallas. He's the only other president out there that has an active TFR, other than the folks that are living in D.C., okay? So up here in the brown zone, that is always going to be, that will always have a TFR over it, especially in today's environment and conditions. So, all right, that's pretty much it, guys. We will pop back on Friday and go from there. So God bless. Monkey out.